So today we're going to be working on a very rare Pontiac. This is a pretty cool car. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that most of you haven't seen this model of car in the wild, or you may not even know of its existence. It's been referred to as the last muscle car. It's been referred to as the GTO that never was. This is a 1977 Pontiac Can Am. Now, what makes the 1977 Pontiac Can Am so rare is it's a one-year only model. And Pontiac slated about 5,000 of these to be built. However, only a fraction of those were actually built, and we'll get into the reasons for that a little bit later on here. Now, the specific options that made this a Can Am were the shaker hood on the front, the Pontiac 400 engine, the stripe package, which is mostly missing from this one, but will eventually be back, the louvered windows in the back, spoiler on the back, which, spoiler alert, that is the reason the production numbers for these are so low. So this is a really special car. This is a real deal Pontiac Can Am, and it is one of less than 1,500. There are estimates, there's arguments about how many were actually produced, but the number that is mostly thrown out there is 1,377. So this is one of less than 1,400 cars ever produced. It's really a cool and unique car that you just don't see very often. So I feel very privileged. This is my buddy Jeff's car. I feel very privileged that we get to work on this car today, and hopefully we're gonna make it run for the first time in several years. He's done most of the hard work, so I don't anticipate this will go too badly, but you'll have to judge me on that later. What made this model so rare? Well, as I said, it's a one-year only car, but if you follow us back to the spoiler back here, this spoiler is what caused all the issues for Pontiac. So what Pontiac did was they produced the Le Mans Sport Coupes in cameo white. That was the only color you could get these cars in. And then they shipped these cars off to Motortown Corporation, where the Le Mans options were added on. Well, as Pontiac was producing these spoilers, the mold for the spoilers broke. And Pontiac had a decision to make. At that point, it was either build a brand new, very expensive mold for these spoilers, or just in production altogether. And so Pontiac took a deep look at their sales numbers. And while they found the sales for this model were very strong, they weren't necessarily gaining sales on the whole. They were actually pulling sales from their more popular Pontiac Grand Prix model. That was enough for Pontiac to make the decision that, you know what, we're done with this model. We're just gonna cut it here. We'll deliver what we can deliver. We'll fill as many orders as we can fill. And that's where we get to that number of around 1,400 cars that were actually delivered. Now, somewhere out in the wild at that time, there were thousands of cameo white sport coupes, that Le Mans sport coupes that were never built into Can Ams. So if you have a 1977 cameo white Le Mans sport coupe, you may have had a car that was slated to be a Can Am and was never built, which is kind of cool. That's kind of the story of how these got to be in such a rare status. Now, to understand, this car was never called a GTO, so when I said it was the GTO that never was, you got to go back into Pontiac history a little bit, and you go back to 1972. The 1972 model of Pontiac Can Am was really like the last muscle car, right? That's the one that everyone recognizes, the GTO Judge. In 1973, Pontiac was getting pinched, but in the early 70s, Pontiac was getting pinched from, and all American manufacturers, from the insurance agencies, environmental groups. We had a decade of performance vehicles that were super cool. Insurance companies were not thrilled about that. They were high horsepower vehicles, lots of accidents, lots of claims. So they were putting pressure on the auto industry to tone it down. From the other side, the environmental agency was just starting to understand emissions and the damages that they do to our environment. And so they started to put the pinch on automobile manufacturers as well. And what you end up with are these 70s models with low compression, low horsepower, and some questionable design styling choices depending on your preferences. By all accounts, most people recognize that the late 60s, early 70s were much more desirable as far as design compared to these vehicles. You had the big bumpers that you get into with the crash safety stuff in the 70s. So there's a lot of things that made those vehicles more attractive than these. Add up all of that, and what it means is in 1973, when GM redesigned their whole A-body line and brought out all new body styles, they were basically a dud. The sales weren't very good, and that included the Pontiac Le Mans. In 1973, Pontiac did produce a GTO off the Le Mans line, and it is a one-year only car as well, because it is a one-year GM A-body, new style A-body GTO. That car did not sell well, so Pontiac, in a last-ditch effort in 1974, said we're going to move the GTO to the X line. The X line is like the Nova Ventura-style vehicles. And again, due to the popularity of those vehicles, they just didn't sell. And at that point, Pontiac kind of called it quits and said, you know, the GTO line's not going to survive. It doesn't represent what it used to represent, so we're just going to end it on a 10-year run of GTO vehicles. So the GTO, almost its entire life, was an optioned up Le Mans. And that's what this car is in 1977, and that's exactly what the Pontiac executives were trying to revive at the time. The Trans Am model was selling really well, so rather than call this a GTO, they went for a similar naming scheme, called this thing the Can Am. But really, if you follow the history of Pontiac, any other year before the cancellation of the GTO, this would have been called a GTO. So some people like to call that the GTO that never was. Okay, we'll start up front at the front of this vehicle. And as I was saying earlier, you know, the common theme with these 70s vehicles is you have these big urethane fillers, and that's because it was mandated from insurance agencies in collaboration with the NTSB to put more safety features in these cars. So one of those is the safety bumpers that collapse when you are in a collision. And what that resulted in is these giant bumpers that stick way off the front of the car, and you have these big urethane fillers. That is kind of a classic example of the mid to late 70s automobiles, and then on into the 80s. But really the thing I love about this A-body style is the classic Pontiac V in the nose. You see it in pretty much the entire A-body line with the Le Mans, the Grand Prix, the Grand Am. They're all very cool, have this kind of classic line. Now the one thing that's completely different is this shaker hood. And this was taken directly from the Pontiac Trans Am. The Pontiac Trans Am was starting to see some success in the early 70s, and so Pontiac carried that over as like the classic symbol of having a sporty vehicle here. It's really like a sporty mid-sized vehicle that Pontiac just didn't have at that time.
You had mentioned the 73 GTO. I actually love the hood on that GTO.
Yeah.
Called the NASA hood.
Yep.
It was like this, but it had the dimples in it.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool.
So under the hood here, we've got a very complete Pontiac 400. These cars would have come with one of two different engines. You could have had the Pontiac 400, which is what we have here, or an Oldsmobile 403. The Olds 403 is even rarer. So if you have a Can Am with an Olds 403 and you're really into the rarity of the vehicles, that's even rarer than this. And those are commonly sold in California and some high altitude states that had stricter emissions restrictions. So a little more gutless than this, but definitely more rare. The estimates from Pontiac on this engine is 200 horsepower, okay? That is a fraction of what the 400 put out even 5 years before that. And that's mostly due to the emission standards as well as the lower compression that they put into these things to try to achieve those standards. So for its day, 200 horsepower in 1977 was pretty darn good. It was about the best of what you could expect, but comparatively to prior model years, it's significantly lower. And that kind of led to these things not being quite as popular. So I will say Jeff's done quite a bit of work to this thing already, so we're kind of joining in mid-project here. He's gone through, changed out spark plugs. He's checked the fuel pump all the way up to the carburetor, so we know we're getting fuel up to the carburetor. There was some question on the plug wire setup and kind of the ignition timing here, so we're going to have to go through that. He's got a new cap and rotor ready to go into the distributor, but funny enough, when he labeled the spark plugs in the area from which they came, the spark plug wires, his numbers were 180 degree off from the prior owner who had put numbers on the cap. So I know I've talked about this in previous videos. I'll show you the cap here. So his numbers here are on the marker here, and if he pulls a plug wire up, you see 1. So it's funny because these are exactly 180 degrees off from what whoever installed this cap at one point said. So one way or another, this thing was either wired 180 degrees out of timing, or it's about to be wired 180 degrees out of timing. So we're gonna figure that out, try to figure that out before we install the new cap and wires on there. But you see, everything is actually fairly clean. You haven't done any cleaning on the carburetor or anything.
I have not.
The story behind this car, actually, you know what? I'll let you tell the story behind the car because it's your car, Jeff.
Okay. I'm always searching through Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace for cars that interest me.
Like any true car guy would.
Yeah, you know, dreaming, thinking maybe, yeah, I'll buy one, but I already got the Charger, so I really wasn't in the market, but you love looking, right? So anyway, came across a Can Am, and Cody and I have talked about Can Ams in the past, and we both have an affection for them. And the guy wanted what I thought was a more than fair price. So I sent the guy a text message, said, hey, I'm super interested in your Can Am. Let me know. The guy never got back to me. About a week went by, the car was still up. I texted the guy again. I said, hey, I'm still interested in this car, you know, if you still have it or anything like that. And he texted me back right away. And he says, I can meet with you this afternoon. If you really are interested, you'll meet with me this afternoon was the subtext. So he was fairly close, shot out there. I had deposit money in my pocket, didn't know what was gonna happen. I gotta admit, it was a bit of a gamble because I couldn't prove on the spot that it was a Can Am, but the numbers jived with what, you know, Can Ams are supposed to be. So I took a chance. The guy is a Pontiac enthusiast. He had at least, you know, 40 Pontiacs in his possession that he has restored and everything like that. He needed to let this one go because he had purchased, after he purchased this one, he had purchased another one. And so he's like, I'm gonna let this one go. This car, he had farmed it out to get restored, and the company took it off his hands and they literally took it all apart. Dash was out and everything like that. So as I'm looking at the car, it looks like what you see here, but the dash was gone.
The whole interior was out of it.
Yes,
right? Pretty
you
much.
know, all the wiring was gone, so there was no way we could start it, let alone make sure anything electrical worked, you know, and all the parts were in the trunk. So thing is though, I couldn't pass it up, especially for the price. So I bought it and I've been working on it ever since. I will want to say, you know, that the guy who sold it to me was a super nice guy because, like I said, he was giving it away, I feel, at a more than fair price. And once we signed the deal, I asked him, I said, you know, I got to ask, why aren't you asking more for this car? He said, I don't need the money and I'm not looking to screw anybody. I want to give it to a car person who's going to work on it, you know, and can get it back on the road. And that just shows what the car community is like.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everybody's out to help everybody else do the same thing. So, I mean, he was a great guy, gave me an opportunity here that I hope to make good on. I'm eternally grateful to the guy because he's given me this opportunity. He didn't have to. He could have charged twice as much and still sold it to somebody else. So the fact that I have it, you know, and made a friend out of the deal,
Yeah.
I'm very
cool.
grateful.
Very cool. Now, as you guys can probably tell, this car has been through a lot already. There's very few panels on this car that are original. We believe the quarter panels to be original because they do have the Can Am sticker on there. Somebody had taped off the sticker when they were priming or doing whatever type of body work they were trying to accomplish here. I'm not entirely sure what they were trying to accomplish. So there's a lot of body work that needs to be done on this car. The doors are obviously not original. The hood is obviously not original. But we believe the front and back tail pieces, the front quarter panels, and obviously the roof and the rear quarter panels to be all original. The deck lid is not. So you were saying that, you know, this car was completely torn apart when you got it.
The steering wheel wasn't in, the dash wasn't in, all the wiring was out. There wasn't anything here, but I had all the parts.
Yeah, so you spent quite a bit of time getting the dash and all the electronics and the wiring all put back together.
Yep.
And so at this point in time, you've got the entire electrical system working, right?
At the very least, I have found out where everything goes, and for the most part, everything works. I mean, there are a couple things that I haven't been able to test, like the light for the glove box and things like that, but I've labeled all the wires or connected them and got them all together, got the engine to crank. That was a huge moment. When I was going through all these wires, it's like trying to figure out, you know, I've got what seemed like 1,000 wires, 1,000 connections to make, and I didn't know what went where. Fortunately, got a 1977 shop manual with a color schematic that made life very easy, or easier. And, you know, as you pointed out, Cody, when I talked to you about it, you know, once you start making those connections and you reduce the number of wires you have, the options that you have are less.
Yeah.
So it became easier, exponentially easier as I went along.
Getting started is the hardest part.
Yes, you know, so I've still got a bunch of wires that aren't connected, but they're labeled and I know where they go once this thing's all together. Got it to the point where we can start it. I got the headlights to work, the turn signals to work, the hazards to work.
The sunroof.
The sunroof. That was huge. That was another great moment. The door, the windows, the power door locks, those all work. Originally, one door lock worked, the other door lock didn't. Had to take the panel, well, the panels were off. Had to take the actuator out and rewire that. Got that working.
When we say the dash was out, literally every piece of the dash was out of this thing. So Jeff has already done what I consider to be some of the hardest work, which is getting all the wiring and the gauges and everything figured out in here. So this is a project in progress, and I think he's already done a pretty awesome job in here. The upgrade from the Le Mans, while you could only get these cars in this cameo white color up here, the interior is where you could do most of your customization. So as far as I know, these are available in red, black, and I think a tan color. Does that sound right?
That does sound right.
Red, black, and a tan. It had an upgraded steering wheel and rally gauges. There was a few other options. This is all upgraded trim, I believe. So a little bit higher level trim option on the interior of the car than what the Le Mans Sport Coupe would have come with. But yeah, guys, this is obviously a project, right? But it's already come a good long ways on the interior here. And this is the perfect kind of like working project, you know, get something up, running, and then you can start working on things like upholstery or the dash. He's got some dash parts already to replace, like this really, really ragged dash pad up here. So yeah, it's just a really cool car, and I love the red interior on this car. I think the red
Agreed.
Interior with the white was my favorite combination for these. And then obviously the sunroof. Like, how cool is that he's got a working power sunroof in this thing? So very cool. Working our way back here, the window louvers, this was a Can Am option here. The problem with these window louvers is they did trap a lot of water in them. So it's not uncommon to see the back sail panel and the quarter panels all rotted out on these old Can Ams. This one, it's hard to tell because they've done some body work here,
Yeah.
but we know there's a bunch of Bondo in this fender. We're not really sure entirely what all's underneath it. And some of the body work that was done was pretty rough. We don't really know if that was the shop that this was at or if it was somebody before that or what the deal was.
To finish that part of the story, again, the guy I bought it off of, he turned it over to them. They started the restoration by, you know, we use the term figuratively, rip out the dash. They literally ripped out the dash. It was, I don't mean to put anybody down, but it was just torn apart, which made it that much harder to put back together. But I guess they had gotten into it and the shop had to fold. So they closed their doors and they gave the car back to the guy that I bought it from with everything just torn apart and thrown in the car. So that's where I had to start from.
You know, not unsurprisingly, if that was the quality of work that they were doing, that they're, you know, now out of business. You know,
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah,
but I think you're right. You can see I still got some parts. I got a nicer dash to work with.
Yep, still not perfect, but much better than the one that's in there.
Exactly.
Something you can even figure out maybe how to recover part of this yourself even.
Right, but I had all the wiring come back here, and it took some work. Some of the wires were just rotted and broken. So I fixed some of the connections. So all the tail lights work, the backup lights work, the license plate light works. Everything electrical for sure from the driver's seat back works on this car.
That's really impressive. And then obviously in the back is all the spare parts here we've got for the interior. There's a center console. It looks like some kick panels and some other ducting maybe up there. So all the parts and pieces are here. It is a fairly solid car. I think we found a little bit of rust up in the wheel wells maybe that had been covered over.
Yeah.
Like they patched over some rust. So little things like that. We'll obviously discover more as we get into this car a little bit. But really overall, a very solid example for a 1977 Can-Am. Most of these things, you find them, if they're not in really good shape, they're in really, really bad shape. it's one or the other. And so the fact that you got a solid one for the price you did, and I don't want to blow up your spot on the price or anything, but the fact that you got one for what I also consider a steal in this condition is very cool.
I'm just anxious to get behind the wheel and drive it around the neighborhood.
Perfect.
More than anything else.
And we're going to do our best to try and make that happen today. So right now we're going to jump in under the hood here, and we're going to get the spark plug wires sorted out, get the timing issue sorted out, and we're going to see if this thing will pop off and fire.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. I'm sure you're extremely excited. Are you nervous at all?
A little bit. I want it to start.
Yeah.
I think I'll be disappointed if we can't, but not undaunted. I mean, if we don't get it started today, we will get it started eventually.
I didn't ask, have you checked spark yet? Do you know if you have spark?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
So if we have spark and we have fuel and we have air, this thing will run today.
Yes.
I can't say how well, but one way or another, we will hear this thing run today.
That sounds good.
You went and actually found the original, or got a report on the original paperwork,
Yes,
correct, for this car?
Pontiac Historic Services. Well worth it. If you have a Pontiac and you want to know its history, get it done. For a small fee, they'll send you all kinds of information. And one thing that I did not count on getting, the original window sticker, copy of the original window sticker, which just kind
Let's
of
come down here. The most important part.
Yes.
The price in 1977, I don't know if that'll make it out, but $6,005.
Yeah, $6,005 driving home today. I looked it up. In today's money, that's $31,828.
Okay.
I'd still
That's
buy
a steal.
it. I'd
That's a
still
steal.
buy it.
Yeah.
And it was actually, the dealer that had it was Haggerty Pontiac in Villa Park, which is still around. They're not a Pontiac dealer, but the Haggerty dealer at this location is still there.
Someday, we kind of have a plan to eventually maybe see if we can take this car back to the original dealership from where it came. I think that would be really cool to, once we have this thing roadworthy and looking right, maybe we take it up to the original dealership.
Yep. And one other thing is, when I was cleaning out this car, and there was a lot to clean out, I found a penny that was minted in 1977. So I'm taking that as a good omen. This is our good luck charm for today.
It was heads up when you found it? Say it was heads up.
It was heads
up.
It was heads up.
So I'm gonna have.
Oh wait,
no,
number
one's over here. So I'm gonna have Jeff pull the number one spark plug, and we are just gonna confirm that we get this thing at top dead center on number one, so we can confirm the rotor position and then our plug wire positions. So we've gone over this on Ellsworth, my pickup truck. There's two types of engines that we typically think of, 2 strokes and 4 strokes, right? What does that really mean? It means that in the cycle of this engine, from combustion to exhaust, the rods in that motor are gonna make 4 strokes, okay? The first one that it's gonna make is down, and that's an intake stroke. The second one it's gonna make is up, and that's a combustion stroke. The third one it's gonna make is on the trip down from combustion, and the exhaust valves open at that point, and the 4th stroke it makes up is to come up and expel the exhaust. So that's 4 strokes in the cycle of 1 rotation of the crankshaft. 2 stroke is the exact opposite. It does everything in 1 up and down stroke. So as you come up, you have combustion. As you come down, you have exhaust relief, and you come back up, combustion, down, exhaust relief. So the way you get an engine 180 degrees out of time is when you set the timing for the number one piston on the exhaust upstroke. As you have done your combustion and the engine and the piston comes down, okay, and the valve opens up for the exhaust to escape from the cylinder, on that compression for exhaust coming up, you don't build compression in the cylinder because the exhaust valve is open. Okay, and when that happens, you're expelling the exhaust through the exhaust valve and out of the exhaust system. So if you set your ignition timing to happen when that's occurring, you're not going to fire off of that cylinder because there is no compression, there's no fuel in the cylinder, it's just spent exhaust gases. So that's how you get 180 degrees out of time. So the easiest way to make sure that you have it in the proper orientation is to rotate the engine over until you start to feel compression out of the spark plug hole. You will not feel compression if the exhaust valve is open. So as the piston's coming up, you'll start to feel compression, and then you want to rotate that slowly until it's at the top of its stroke, and that's how we're going to determine top dead center for cylinder number 1. We can do this one of 2 ways. You obviously have this thing ready to crank and turn over, so we can do it by turning the key, or we can throw a socket and a ratchet on the crank pulley, and we can rotate it by hand.
What do you think's better?
Do we have room?
Cranking it would be easier.
Yeah,
but it's hit or miss to get it to the top.
It's very sensitive. You have to be touchy. Let's throw a socket and a ratchet on the crank bolt, and we'll turn this thing over by hand until you give a little more touch with that.
You're right.
So we'll start rotating this over until we feel compression, and then I will show everyone a trick on how we actually find the top of the stroke on the piston without a camera or something like that. Actually, you have a camera, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do have.
Would you rather do it the rudimentary way or with the camera?
I like the rudimentary way, to be honest with you, because that way everybody could do it.
Okay, let's do that.
Not everybody's going to have an inspection.
All right, so he's going to grab a ratchet and a socket. We'll start turning this thing over. All right, I'm going to get down here. We got a socket on the crank bolt here, and I'm going to turn this over until we start to get compression. Jeff's going to put his finger over the spark plug hole, and he's going to tell me once he starts to feel compression. Oh, this is a breaker bar, huh?
Yeah. Oh, if you want a ratchet,
no, this is fine. It's just going to take me a minute to get it rolled over.
There we go.
Okay, you got compression?
It hissed past my thumb.
Yeah,
so.
Okay, perfect. So now you're going to take that dowel.
Okay.
And you're going to stick it in the spark plug hole. And you're going to set that dowel on top of the piston. And I'm going to continue to rotate the crankshaft until we see that dowel stop to move up. Okay. And that's going to tell us where top dead center is on this number 1 piston. Okay, so you just yell at me to stop when I need to stop.
Okay. Okay.
Feel it coming up?
I feel it's going down.
Oh, it's going down.
Yes.
Okay, so we missed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the front edge of the pulley here because we just went past top dead center.
Yeah.
So what that's going to tell me is as I come back around, it's going to give me a little bit of a warning that, hey, you're getting close.
Okay.
So I just put a little dot on the bottom of the pulley there. And that's going to be my visual cue to tell you about when you should be feeling compression. So you want to pull that rod out and put your thumb back over the hole.
Oh, okay.
Because we're going to make sure we find compression again. We want to be sure that it is actually compressing. So you're on the downstroke now. At this point, you're post compression, so all the valves will be closed. When we get to the bottom of this, then the exhaust valve would start to open on the next upstroke. So you shouldn't feel compression as I rotate this around.
There we go.
Oh, you are feeling compression there.
I did.
Okay. Interesting. Let me check.
You want me to see where the cylinder's at?
Yeah, you can do that. Let's get this to top dead center.
Okay, it's down way further than it was before.
Yeah, if you're just starting to feel compression, then...
Yeah.
Okay, so gonna turn.
Yeah, definitely compression.
Coming up. Just yell at me when we stop coming up. Yeah, this makes sense. I got the yellow mark at the bottom here again.
So what am I... I'm feeling for when it stops hissing?
Stops coming up.
Okay.
Do you have the...
Should I have the rod in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Didn't tell you that. Hopefully we didn't miss it again, but if we did, it's not a big deal. We'll go right back around. So that rod's gonna come up. It's resting on the piston.
Yes.
So you should feel it moving up.
Right.
And as soon as it stops moving up, that's top dead center.
Okay.
Okay?
Moving up, moving up, moving up.
It's gonna be very close here.
Moving up, moving up. Stopping, stop.
Right there.
Yep.
Okay, that's top dead center, piston number 1. And that makes perfect sense because it's right where our mark was.
Okay.
Before, a little before
I didn't
where
think
our
it
mark
was going to spend that much time having been stopped.
Yeah,
It stopped and then
There's a little bit of a dwell.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a dwell point at the top.
Gotcha.
So it kind of comes up and pauses and then comes back down.
Okay. I was worried about missing that. I thought it was just,
Nope.
I thought it was going to go right. It's like, how am I going to know I'm at,
Nope.
I'm not going to know I'm at the top until it starts moving down again.
And even at that point, even if we're close, we just need to be very close.
Okay.
So,
well, we're on it. Yay.
So the other option is if you have a little camera, you can stick it down in the hole and watch the piston come up and wait till it comes all the way up. But that's a tried and true method. You know, you can't really, a mechanical connection, you can't really fail on that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set the rotor and the cap, and then we'll put, actually you got the new cap back there already, right?
Yes.
Looks like.
So let me get it off.
Yeah, let's pull that off. And we're just gonna confirm at this point, once we pull the cap off, that the rotor is pointed at the number 1 cylinder. In a Chevy HEI style distributor like this, the rotor should be pointing towards the plug there. We'll figure out which way the rotor's pointing. That's gonna determine where your number 1 cylinder is. So right now, we should be sending spark to number 1 because it's at top dead center of its compression stroke. So we'll get the cap off here. So right now we're on compression stroke of number 1. Most Chevy, this is kind of weird. Did you put this back on right where it came from?
I did.
You
Yes, I
change
did.
it out? Okay.
Yes, I did.
Right now, the timing is pointed straight back. So we have 2 options. One, we can either set that as the number 1 spark plug. It's not wrong to do that.
Okay.
But normally, the way I set the distributor on most of these Chevys is I point the number 1 towards the rotor, towards the number 1 piston. We would have to pull the distributor out and re-clock this to do that. Okay. So I think for expedience, if the plugs will reach, we can just set this up knowing that on the cap here, this needs to be number 1.
Okay.
Because that's where the rotor's pointing. Okay. So we can put the cap back on. We can set this back corner as number 1, and then we should still be okay. As long as your rotor's pointing to the appropriate terminal and the terminal's connected to the appropriate spark plug, it doesn't matter where that's pointing as long as the order's right and it's firing at the right time. So it's not the way I typically set the distributor, but it's not wrong either.
Okay.
We're gonna need to loosen up the distributor one way or another.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and do that, because right now the cylinder is at top dead center and our rotor is not yet to number 1. So right now our timing would be way too retarded. So it's not gonna fire until after compression has happened. Usually you want your timing a little bit advanced, so you want your timing to happen, you want your spark to happen before the piston is at its complete top dead center. So right now the timing is retarded to where it's firing after compression's happened, which is not great. So I will take this from you, loosen up the distributor here. So we probably want to start about right there, timing wise.
I need a...
Okay, so I tried to record us putting the plug wires on, but I had my camera in time warp mode. I did check the timing marker down there. It is set appropriately right now. We are at top dead center. So the timing mark's right. We've got all of our plug wires ran and plugged in now. We're at a point now where Jeff can go ahead and put some fuel into the fuel bowl. So we're gonna put some 2-stroke fuel right down into the fuel bowl. And we're actually gonna see if this thing will pop off. It's a little anticlimactic on the work unless it doesn't run. It's because Jeff did all the hard work before I got here.
Oh,
He's tested the fuel pump all the way up to the carb. So we know we're getting fuel from the tank. He's put some fresh fuel in the tank as well.
New fuel filter too. Not taking any chances.
So new plugs, new plug wires, new cap, new rotor. All right, I'm learning from my Runaway International situation. So
yes.
This is a 2-man operation here. You've got brakes or you have pedal, and I'm gonna have you try and fire this thing. So I'll have you in the driver's seat of the car in park, and I will stand off to the side.
I need to do that.
I will be standing off to the side just in the event that something goes horribly wrong, which I don't anticipate, but oh boy.
Good Lord.
I don't anticipate something going horribly wrong, but we should be prepared for something to go horribly wrong. Well, it's gonna fire up and purr, I think.
From your lips to God's ears.
Okay, moment of truth. Moment of truth delayed.
Moment of truth is slightly delayed.
Slightly
Psych!
delayed.
Psych! Okay, I don't know how that happened, because...
Slight shifter adjustment here, bringing out the claw hammer.
Come on.
It's like a cable retaining clip there, just making sure it's installed all the way.
Yeah, because if I need to shift... Okay.
Okay, retainer clip in.
Yay.
Any last words before you click it over here?
Oh. I hope everybody's with us.
Here we go.
Lots of positive mojo.
Oh, dead battery. Oh, wait. You know what? Hold on. I might have it too advanced now. Let's give that a shot. I think we got a dead battery.
Okay. Let me get the other battery in here.
What a tease. Did you have this battery in when you did the initial crank?
Yes.
This one or that one?
This one.
Okay.
So this is probably the one to be using. Could also pull up my wife's Jeep and jump it.
Hopefully we don't need it. This is gonna be the ticket.
Okay.
All right.
Oh.
Here we go.
Come on, electricity. Yes! Okay, what do you recommend?
Go ahead, crank it. Hold on a second. I adjusted timing. Okay, go ahead. We might need more battery. Go ahead. Yeah, I think our battery's weak.
Good Lord. Well, I mean, again,
I
I couldn't
have a jump mode on it or no? Like mine has a start mode on it. I don't know.
Okay. That was exciting.
I told you it's gonna run today.
That was super exciting. Let me get some power out here. I should have just bought a new battery, and maybe we will if
We
that's
can still do that if we need to.
if that's what it takes. I will do
Plenty of
it.
time today. I think once we get it going here,
right now
charge
we're
right
ahead of
up.
schedule.
Yeah.
As far
I
as
told
I'm
you I didn't
concerned.
think it was going to be a big deal here. Okay. We should. I think it should be able to fire off of this because this is supplying a constant voltage to the battery. So.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Go ahead. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on. We might need to clean up our ground wires. The ground cable's getting pretty warm on us.
Okay. Yeah, I felt that when I was taking this thing off.
Yeah, so we probably want to pull the ground wire off the block here and just clean that up to start.
good.
Make sure we got a good ground.
Okay.
Okay, so we were just getting ready to repair try and clean up the ground, and Jeff found a broken ground cable right off the block there. So that's probably part of our problem here. We're gonna have to go ahead and repair that cable end. All right, back from the parts store, we just picked up just a negative battery cable here. You can see how bad that one's mangled up. So the battery seems to have a charge on it, so it did seem like when we were cranking, the hard cranking seemed more like resistance in the wire, and I'm hoping that's just all due to a bad ground here.
Not taking any chances, we bought the longest cable.
It was actually the shortest. 36 inches was the shortest cable they had. The first one we found was 72 inches long. Jeff did go ahead and use the wire wheel down on the block there too, clean all the corrosion off the block. It was pretty crusty, so
It was bad.
just all around. If we still don't get a good connection here, we may have to go down onto the starter actually and clean up the starter terminals as well, just to be safe. Good old GM battery terminal, side post terminals. Always so fun. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Moment of truth times 3.
Oh. Here we go again.
Sounds a little better.
It does. Do you want to try some starting fluid?
Might not hurt. Big ol' backfire. Okay, go ahead, hit it again.
Okay. It is alive! No, it's not. Oh, we're losing our charge.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Really doesn't want to run off of that fuel. Okay. Is that all the battery had in it?
Sounds like it. Ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Bummer. Should have done the battery, I guess. Yeah, fired it right up, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, it's not wanting to cooperate. Battery's just not holding the charge.
Right.
I hope the fuel that's in the tank is good enough to run on. That'd be my only other concern.
I mean, I like I said, I mean, I have no idea how much was in there. I topped it off with about a gallon of stuff that I had for my generator,
Okay.
and I threw in some additives.
Doesn't seem like we even have fuel yet. I can't hear it squirting.
Really?
So the accelerator pump might be out, which I told you it was leaking. So just need to get everything wet with fuel and see if it'll come around. Because it'll run on starting fluid, but it's not wanting to sustain itself.
There's lots of vacuum connections that clearly aren't made.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a problem for us?
It may be.
Okay.
To get it to idle, it might be an issue, but for now, we should be able to get it running without those. A lot of the stuff that's disconnected coming through the firewall there, most of that's going to be for stuff in the dash, heater control, that type of stuff. But wherever those connect, there's an open vacuum.
Yeah, I mean, we got 3 right here that I didn't even know where they went to, and
so those will cause us idle issues, probably.
I know that this goes on here. That's one of them. One of the 3.
But we should be able to at least get it to run.
I'd like to think so. It was awful close there. I thought it was gonna be
did too.
rough, but at least it was gonna stay.
Well, the thing was, as soon as we had it, it was idling on its own there for a second, and as soon as I tried to give it any fuel, it was just killing it. So I think it was going lean and not getting any fuel. It was all air because it started backfiring there. So it feels like the carburetor's not pushing fuel through it right now.
Okay.
Just in that short period of time we had it run, which means the accelerator pump is probably shot. I already know it's leaking fuel out of the top of the pump, so that's probably what it is. Yeah, our cables aren't smoking hot like they were before, so I think we're down to just the battery.
Okay, good.
Now. Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Whoa!
A little starting fluid fire. Careful, it'll burn out. it'll burn out. Just start a little starting fluid. Backfire through the carb. All right, so second trip back from the store, parts store, we had to go get a new battery. We were checking the voltage on that battery as we were cranking. It was dropping to 3 volts, and then it was staying down with the charger off. It was staying down around 10.5 when it came back, so it was just a shot battery. So we're crossing our fingers on this one. I do think there's some carburetor issues as well, because it seems like we are running the fuel out of the bowls, and then that's it. Once that's gone, it doesn't want to stay running. So, but we can't do anything until we can crank this engine over for longer than 5 seconds. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see if we can crank at least. Much improved.
Yeah.
Much improved. All right. All right, let's, you know what? Let's fill the bowls back up with fuel.
That's right.
You did see it coming up
Yeah.
out of here? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I see the accelerator pump's leaking, so. Okay, go ahead. See it? I mean, smooth as butter.
There we go.
Now we'll see if it runs the bowls out of fuel and dies on us, then we know we're not getting fuel.
And there we go.
So the next thing I want to do here, we'll pull the line off the carb and make sure we're pumping fuel. So for the record, you did check the pump and it was pumping fuel initially, which doesn't mean that it is still pumping fuel.
Yeah, here's the thing. You want to check that? Should we just crank
Well,
on
I
it?
mean, we will when you pop this line off. We'll crank on it, and if it doesn't pump any fuel out of there, then we kind of know. Do you happen to have a old water bottle or something I can put over the end of that once we pull it off? And the fact that it's bone dry tells me it's not pumping fuel, so.
I'm telling you, it was squirting yesterday. I'm gonna make a liar out of it.
All right, we're gonna stick a hose onto our fuel line here, and we're gonna run this into something just to collect the fuel so we're not spraying fuel everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and crank on the engine and see if we're getting fuel. Yeah, it is pumping. Go ahead, do it again. Yep, it's moving fuel. It smells okay. It's not awful. Not great, but not awful.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm surprised because as dry as that line was, I didn't think we'd get fuel through there.
Okay, so it goes in this way, right? Because the fuel has to, if I put it that way, the fuel's not going to get in there.
Correct.
Right? So, okay. Huzzah, I put it in right. Thank God.
No flow?
No.
Oh, that's dry, isn't it?
It is? No?
That smell like fuel?
Boy, I don't know. Well, I mean, here's the thing.
You're not getting fuel through the filter.
Should that
That's got a plastic.
should that come off?
I don't want to ruin your fuel filter, but
The hell with it. I mean, if it's that's gotta be.
I don't think we're not getting
I'm
fuel
not getting anything through. So
that.
I don't know. I'm getting pretty winded.
It feels like everything's in there is dry, so I
Yeah.
feel like we weren't getting.
I like the sound of that.
All right. So we weren't
I
getting
like
fuel.
the taste of that. you got to do what you got to do. Desperate times, desperate measures. I'm telling you, that's okay. I mean, what's the deal there? Was that supposed to come out, Cody?
No, I don't know. It is a check valve, but we might not be getting enough pressure to push on that check valve to get fuel through it because it is spring loaded in there. It's just a little spring loaded stopper inside the fuel filter. It isn't really needed, I'll say that, because the float is going to dictate how much fuel stays in the bowl. It's not like the fuel filter is not really a check on how much fuel is going into the carburetor. So why it's got a check valve on it, I don't know.
So we probably should
Fill the bowls back up. It's all right though.
No, hey, God.
I'd say
We're
just
making
the
progress.
front, because it's not been run high enough to open up the secondaries.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think this might be it.
Come on.
I'm not even gonna touch it. I'm gonna let it do its thing. Okay, maybe give it a couple pumps. There you go. Okay, hold on. Where are we at here? Come back. We'll try that. Give it a couple pumps. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, it might be flooded. Yeah, I can smell fuel, so go ahead and crank it over.
So we go from no gas to
Too much? Yeah. Let's let it see if it'll stay running and warm up here.
Oh, there we go.
It's getting fuel now.
Yeah. We ran into the damage problem. Okay. So probably old fuel filters that fit in there. They're
Oh, I had to try.
they're open on one end.
It was sustaining
Well, should we fill the
itself
bowl?
there, so let's refill the front bowl. And I might have flooded it out when I tried to run it. Actually, if that's the case, it's probably leaned it out because it's not getting fuel, it's getting too much air. At least if it can idle on its own, we can just let it warm up and it might be easier to start. Well, let's see how long it idles for.
Right.
Yeah, like a sewing machine, nice and smooth.
Worst case scenario, carbon bill. Which I could do in a day.
Nice.
Yeah, nice job, guys.
Even idle down. Heck yeah, I mean, we haven't done anything, we haven't even set the timing yet. And it's idling so smooth. We haven't checked for vacuum leaks or anything like that. You got an exhaust leak.
Okay, I was gonna say, 'cause
Can hear it
looks
in
like
there.
it's coming out from underneath.
But it probably is rolling around, but you do have an exhaust leak down there.
Okay.
You can hear it. No mosquitoes tonight.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're contributing to the poor air quality in the neighborhood.
I'm sure someone on your block has a hybrid or an electric vehicle. You just offsetting the prices. This thing just wants to go, so we're gonna jack the car up here, get it out from underneath the dollies, and see if we can get it in gear. pretty anticlimactic on the mechanical part. The only issue we had was there's a little like one-way regulator in the air filter, or in the fuel filter, just a little piece of plastic with a spring behind it. And I don't think our fuel pump was overcoming that spring, so it was keeping all the fuel from getting into the carburetor. Once we took that little one-way valve out of the filter, this thing is running and idling on its own. I adjusted the timing by ear, and then we put the mark on it. We put the timing light on it. 16 degrees of timing, that sound about right? That's what it's at.
Oh, okay.
So, you got pedal? You had vacuum built up, so it would have been...
It's kind of spongy, but
spongy,
it's there.
okay. There it goes, kicked in reverse.
Are my backup lights on? Just out of curiosity.
Go back to park. Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. You got reverse lights.
That was a big...
That's reverse. Neutral. May hold down on the front of your shifter there, maybe, I don't know. We got a bind.
Yeah. Whoa.
We just go to the floor.
Yep.
Let's see if we got fluid somewhere. None in the front. Oh, there we go. We got a line blowout. Well, there's your next project.
Yeah.
Nothing on the gauges?
Nothing on the gauge.
Well, your temperature's pegged all the way. I hope that's not right.
Yeah, I hope that's, yeah.
I doubt it.
So,
You know how you fix those? You just put something right there, and then you don't even have to worry about it. A little piece of cardboard, some tape maybe.
okay, I don't want to die of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, we need to get your exhaust fixed. We blew out a brake line, so unfortunately, I was hoping we'd be able to drive this thing today, but the funny thing is the brake lines all look really good, so I was pretty hopeful, but right on top of the lower control arm here, the lower control bar, the line runs up on top of the frame and through a hanger, and I think it rusted through the hanger, unfortunately. So, but we accomplished Jeff's goal for today, which was to get this thing running. We got the timing set. Figured out that it's set at 16 degrees of initial timing, which is exactly where I think it's supposed to be. I don't know what the total advance will be when we're revving it up. We can, once we got it running a little bit better, we can hook the timing light up and see what the total advance ends up being at RPM. So we'll have to sort that out. But I think the next steps for Jeff are going to be a carburetor rebuild, because there's a little bit of a leak on the accelerator pump rod there. And then the brakes.
Yep.
The transmission did shift into reverse, but there's some binding in the cable. We've got to make a bracket for that shifter to keep the front from pulling up and figure out why the cable was binding up on us there. It might just be an adjustment on the cable. And then I think if you solve those issues, I'm probably ready to take this thing for a spin. So we don't, I was talking to Jeff, I don't know, there's not too much more we can do today, but I do have one request. I've been waiting to see it all day. I want to see the sunroof open and close. As silly as that sounds.
Not at all.
I'm gonna come around to the passenger side here. I was shocked when he told me he got the sunroof working in this thing.
Okay, don't fail me, baby. Here we go.
Check that out. It doesn't just work, it works extremely well.
It does. I was pleasantly surprised.
This is killer.
And
I love this.
I was afraid that if I opened it, it wouldn't close. So when I finally got it to work, I backed it up an inch and put it back. Then I went 2 inches and put it back. They went 3 inches to put it back. So, yeah,
Awesome.
there it is.
Awesome.
There it is.
That's a good strong 70s motor in there, I can tell.
There you
Wow, look at that. That's awesome. Holy moly, that's like turbo mode. Wait, hit that door again.
go.
So going up's a little bit more of a struggle. Wait till you guys see this door go down, or the window go down.
Ready? Okay, here we go.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That's so stupid that I love that.
What's not
Look
to
at that.
love?
Oh
It's
my
awesome.
gosh.
It's a
Killer.
piece of Americana history, man.
All right, so we're just about wrapped up for the day. We got about as far as we can get with the brakes being blown out and the transmission not wanting to shift properly. Jeff's gonna have to put in a little bit more work before we can drive this thing for the first time. But I think this is a big step in the project for him, being able to hear the thing run. It runs smooth as a top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so smooth. I'm shocked. We didn't hardly do anything here, really.
Yeah.
You did a lot of hard work before I got here. I should say that. And he kind of primed us up for today being super easy. But we got the timing set. Carburetor seems to be working, but you're probably going to have to rebuild that as well, right? So there's a leak on the accelerator pump there. But I mean, I just think it's so cool to be able to work on this car. And I didn't even mention earlier in this video why this model is special to me. You know, Jeff and I have talked about this specific model of car quite a bit in the past. And it means a lot to me specifically because my dad owned one of these cars. And not only did he own one of these cars, he brought me home from the hospital when I was born in the back seat of a 1977 Pontiac Can Am.
Which would not fly today.
Yeah, no, so and my mom tells the story about, you know, Dad pulls around and she's sitting in the wheelchair at the door of the hospital and the nurse is, you know, pushing the wheelchair and she's holding me and the nurse sees Dad pull up and she looks at Mom, she says, "You're taking him home in that?" And Mom said, "Yes, we are." She said, "They put me in the back seat and I was kind of plump as a baby, so my cheeks were just rattling in the back seat from the car rumbling, and you know, it's just a awesome family story. And I've actually found my dad's old Pontiac Can Am, and the story there is that unfortunately the people who bought it after my dad have owned it this entire time since 1986, because he sold it the same year that I was born. So it's my fault probably that he sold it, but they've owned that car since then, and so for them it actually means more to them because they've had the car in their family for almost 40 years now.
Wow.
So unfortunately I can't get my hands on that car, and they're in the process of doing a full-blown restoration on that car. So when Jeff told me he bought this car, I was super excited. And I'm super thrilled that he's letting me be part of the project here.
Of course.
And we can get this thing up and going.
That's right. And I'm just super excited that the engine runs. It runs well. Huge load off my mind. Now I can be that much more enthused about the things that need to be done because I know this thing's a runner.
Exactly. And it's just like I say on every video, if you don't work on your project, it won't work on itself. And this is a perfect example of that. Just chip away, right? Like if something seems daunting, every little bit you get done every weekend gets you one step closer to your dream of driving your project or finishing your project or whatever it may be. So as I always say, if you don't work on your project, it will not work on itself. Get out in the garage, get building, and I'll see you on the next episode of Cody Builds.